Good morning and welcome to Top 5 for Small Business, Conquer Content, how to use your expertise to talk to your audience. The Top 5 series features experts in human resources, marketing, accounting, and other topics to help small business owners be successful. Before we begin, please remember to mute yourself during the presentation and to use a chat to interact with each other and to ask questions of our speaker. We will be monitoring the chat for your questions throughout the presentation, and there will be a Q&A session at the end. If you require alternate translations during the webinar, please use the Wordly link in the chat. Joining us today is Lauren Merkel, CEO of Merkel Retirement Planning. Through the work at Merkel Retirement Planning, Lauren has had the privilege of getting to know hundreds of families and individuals as they move to and through retirement. Lauren says that the most magical moment of the planning process is delivering the final retirement plan and sharing it with someone how they will reach their retirement goals. Lauren is a certified financial planner, certified financial fiduciary, and has his life, health, and accident IRA insurance licenses. He is also the host of Retiring Today TV show and podcast. Thank you so much for being here today, Lauren. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about something that I'm so passionate about. I started Merkel Retirement Planning in 2011. And since 2011, I made a ton of mistakes when it comes to creating a message, marketing a message, and as far as who I'm marketing that to. So today, my goal is to share some insights as far as the journey that I've been on, some of the mistakes that I've made, and help you maybe prevent some of those same mistakes and flourish throughout whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Whether you're a small business owner, you're a salesperson, you're trying to develop a new business, whatever it is. I'm going to talk to you through the terms of what it is that we do, how we do it, and why we do it. But most people on this call are probably not financial advisors or retirement planners. So take the concepts of what I'm talking about, that apply it to your individual situation, because I think many of the concepts that we're going to share here today are universal, regardless of the industry or the specific position that you're in. So today, what we're going to cover specifically is how to talk to your audience, create the content that is going to resonate the best with your audience, and then choosing specific platforms of how to disseminate that content to the audience. Somebody came in to my office a week or two ago, and we were just talking, we're having a conversation. Actually, he was a guest on our TV show, and he said, I get it. He said, I get it. You guys do retirement planning, but really you're a marketing firm who happens to do retirement planning. Now, I don't necessarily like that, because I take a lot of pride in the retirement planning that we do. And I think not only within the state, but across the country, we are one of the best retirement planning firms out there for what it is that we do for the families that we serve. However, he's not wrong. We do a ton of marketing, because my philosophy is we can be the absolute best at whatever it is that we do. But if nobody knows about us, then it's not going to allow us to do what we do to the scale that we can do it. And I think when even with our own firm, and if we look at a lot of other firms who have a sales team or who are trying to distribute a product or a service, typically we do not have a sales problem. Typically what we have, if we really dive into it, if we really look into it, we have an awareness problem. Not enough people know about us. Not enough people know about who we really are, what it is that we really do, and how they can take advantage of the product or the services that we do offer. So I think one of the most important aspects of getting your message out there, one of the most important things that you can do, is have a really good understanding of who your audience is, who your target audience is. My team here, we have a team of 5 people on our marketing team. So 5 people who are solely focused on creating our content, creating our message, and disseminating that to our target audience. And it wasn't that long ago that we all sat down as a team, as a marketing team, and we said, who is our target audience? Let's give details. Let's be as specific as we possibly can. Who is our target audience? And out of the 5 people, we probably had 4 different responses. I mean, generically, we know we are niche service. So we service those within 10 years of retiring or already retired. But specifically, who is our client avatar? And some of the concepts that I'm going to share with you here, these are not mine. These are things that I've learned over the last 20 years from gurus like Rory Vaden or Darren Hardy. But the client avatar is something that we should all hone in on with as much specificity and detail as we possibly can. So part of determining who your client avatar is what is the demographic of your client avatar? And again, be as specific as you possibly can to the age, to the gender, the industry, the position, the income, the geography. Where does this individual live? Does this individual live in Iowa? Does this individual live in the United States? Does this individual live in the suburbs or the metro? What kind of education does this individual have? Relationship status, is this individual divorced, single, widowed, married? Do they have children? If so, how many children? And keep going with that to really gain an idea demographically who your target client avatar really is. And then take that a next step. Take that a next step to what is the psychographics of your client avatar. So the demographics, that's more that tangible stuff that you can really grasp on. Your client, your target avatar lives in Des Moines, is 55 years old, right? That's that tangible stuff that you can kind of grasp onto. The client avatar psychographics is more the mental aspect of this individual or these people. What does this person care about? Whom does this person care about? Individuals and groups. What are this person's passions? Where does this person spend most of their time? What does this person want personally, professionally? What is this person searching for? What motivates them? What questions they have? Keep going with these types of questions. So each one of these questions and then some, you should be answering. And if you have a marketing team, you should all sit down together and hone this out. If it's just you, these are the types of questions that you should go through to gain a much deeper understanding of who your ideal client is. That's what your client avatar is, who your ideal client is. So if you look at your client base and you can say, I could work with that person. I want to work with that person every single day. And if I can replicate that person, that is who the client avatar is. So what we did is we said, let's look at our entire client base. And this person, if we could replicate this person time and time and time again, this is the type of psychographic, this is the type of demographic that we are looking for. Now, the interesting thing is this, as the group, our group sat down, a group of 5 people who we've been doing this for a very long time. We feel like we all have a pretty good idea of who it is that we're looking for, who our target avatar is. But we had maybe 4 out of 5 different responses, and they were very generic. What we thought our target avatar was age 55 to 70, within a few years of retiring or already retired, and primarily lived in the state of Iowa. That's what we landed on. And then as we dove into each one of these questions and really honed in on it and dived into the details of these questions, what we realized is that our client avatar actually looks much different. Now, this is not a real client of ours. This is just a clip art that we used, and the details is not a real client. It's just information that we have put together to describe what our client avatar is. So this is not a real client. I just want to let you know, but this is clip art, and we have named our client avatar. So our client avatar, her name is Jill Smith. That's the other interesting part that our team discovered is, and this is real tempting for those in the financial industry, to target the men, to target the male audience, because historically we tend to think that men make the decisions around finances. Well, based on our experience, actually, when we came out of our discussion, it's the female that has the biggest level of influence on the financial decisions in the household. And there's multiple reasons for that. If we're working with a married couple, or we have a married couple prospect in the office, and the man is kind of on board and the wife is not on board, then there's no way that they're going to be working with us. If the husband is kind of on board and the wife is way on board, then they're going to work with us. Also within this industry, women tend to live longer than men. And so women are going to be the ones typically making the financial decisions later in life. So if we had to target one specific gender for our audience, it's going to be females. But if we look at our messaging prior to going through this exercise, you would see our messaging is more geared towards men. So we had it completely wrong. So our messaging was not as effective as what it could be because we should have been talking to Jill, but instead of that, we were talking to Jack. And so this is within our organization, Jill Smith is our client avatar. And then we also came up with a secondary client avatar, which is a man who is age 57 and resembles a lot like Jill's husband. And then we also came up with a third client avatar. And the third client avatar is a single woman, whether by choice, widowed, or divorced. So we have 3 client avatars that our messaging is directed towards. And this is really important for us, especially because we do have a team. We have a lot of people, different people working on this, is we have to be creating our content. We have to be creating our messaging in unison towards who our target audience really is. And what this did for us is it really created a lot of clarity amongst the team around what our messaging should look like and how we should be disseminating that message. And then we're all working on the same page. If it's just you and you're trying to create the content and disseminate that message yourself, that clarity is absolutely essential for you as well. So this client avatar, the primary, the secondary, and the third is your guidepost around all of the marketing that you do. And as you're looking at different platforms to use, whether it's TV or it's YouTube or it's print ad or it's digital, you're looking towards your client avatars and saying, is that going to resonate with our target audience? Is that going to resonate with Jill Smith or Jack Smith or Marilyn? And if it does, then that means that you should proceed further, at least investigating that avenue. If it doesn't, then no is the easiest answer and you need to move on. But the client avatar is how once you have your client avatar, that's going to help you develop your message. And I would go even a step further with your client avatar. So you get the demographics, you get the psychographics, and then what you need to do to help make sure that you're really clear about who your client avatar is. And if you have a team, to make sure everybody's working on the same page, is create a paragraph with all of the details in that paragraph around your client avatar. So what I'm going to do for you is we created a paragraph around Jill Smith. She's our primary client avatar. I'm just going to read this to you to give you an example of what this could look like and give you an idea of the detail that's involved in here. So again, we named our avatar. Our avatar's name is Jill Smith. Jill Smith is a successful marketing director who has been married to her husband, Jack, for 35 years. They have 2 children, Ryan, who is 30, Reagan, who is 28. Jill and her husband are currently in the midst of caring for both their grandchildren and their elderly parents, leaving them feeling stuck in caregiver mode. They reside in a new spacious 2-story, 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom home in a Des Moines suburb. So right there in that first paragraph, you have a whole lot of detail around who Jill is. And you're already getting into the emotional state that Jill's living in. She's 57 years old. She's a couple years away from retiring. She has kids. She has grandkids and she has elderly parents. And so she's feeling torn between that family dynamic. She wants to be there for the grandkids. She loves being there for the grandkids. But there's also a certain amount of pressure that comes that, especially when you couple that with the last couple of years of her working career, which is probably the most stressful time work-wise for Jill. And then also she has elderly parents, which also takes some time and commitment. And she wants to be there for her parents. She wants to be there to provide the love and support that they were always there providing her. But still there's some pressures, especially when it comes to time, commitment, and energy. So right there within that first paragraph, we got a whole lot of detail around what our client avatar is thinking, who it is, and what kind of phase of life she's in. We go on, we say Jill is a physically active individual who enjoys biking, hiking, and playing pickleball. She was an athlete her entire life and continues to prioritize staying active. When she's not participating in the sport, she likes to socialize with friends over drinks during happy hour. So you get a taste of what some of the things outside of her family life look like, some of the activities that she enjoys, where you might find her on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday morning. Jill's optimistic nature is reflected in her outlook on life, which is always half full. She is concerned about her family, future, and friends, and takes great care to ensure that they are well taken care of. Although she views herself as accomplished and confident, Jill worries about what she doesn't know about the future, particularly a world where she's no longer working. So now we're getting into some of the concerns, some of the issues that she has that relates to what it is that we do. So this is now getting into what kind of problems does she see? What are some of the causes around those problems? And then it's going to give us a little bit more insight about where we might fit into Jill Smith's life. Although Jill, she views herself as accomplished and confident, Jill worries about what she doesn't know about the future, particularly a world where she's no longer working. She recognizes that there is always more to learn and is concerned about what the future holds. Despite her worries, Jill and her husband have done a good job of saving, but she remains committed to securing her family's future. She has considered what her life would be like if her husband were to pass away and his income were no longer available. At this point is where MRP appears. So those 3 paragraphs all around Jill Smith give us so much detail. Now we know specifically who our target avatar is, and then we can go around creating our content, our message to that avatar. And then we can choose the different platforms of how we want to disseminate that. But if we don't know, if we're not clear and concise on who we're actually talking to, then what we do is we find ourselves spending a lot of money, experimenting on different platforms, experimenting with different messages without having a real clear understanding of what's going to resonate with the audience. One of the other important things to consider is that there's so much information out there everywhere. There is so much noise. So when we do develop our message, we have to be concise. We have to be clear. Sometimes, especially in the professional services world, it's really tempting to want to sound smart. We want to tell everybody how smart we are. We want to use these big words and these acronyms to demonstrate our intelligence level. And oftentimes what we find is that leads people to not wanting to participate in the services that we offer or participate in purchasing the products that we offer, because there's not a lot of clarity and there's a lot of confusion because there's already information everywhere. The information is in abundance. What people really want is simplicity and clarity. And in today's world, smart is simple. Smart is not complex. Smart is simple. I'll give you an example in our particular industry. There's so many different acronyms. RMD is one of those. So if I'm creating a message and I'm talking about RMDs, which stands for required minimum distributions, which it means that at a certain age, you have to start taking distributions from your retirement accounts. If I'm just talking about RMDs, I'm going to lose probably half the audience right away. So in my messaging, I have to be really clear and really simple. One of the biggest pieces of feedback that we get in the visits that we have is people will go to other firms and they'll say, they just talked over my head. What I really like about you guys is I can understand what you're saying and I feel like you get me. A recent example is I'm 46. You notice I'm wearing some readers. 46, my vision is going bad. It's brand new to me. I haven't been to an optometrist or got my eyes checked probably since maybe college, maybe high school. I know absolutely nothing about optometry. I know absolutely nothing about glasses, prescriptions. Prior to a month ago, I didn't even know what progressives meant. So I go to an optometrist and they are talking way over my head. I have very little understanding of what they're talking about. I have a problem. My problem is I'm going blind. I don't know why I'm going blind. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know can I get surgery? Do I need bifocals? Do I need a prescription? Didn't even know much about readers, the plus 175, didn't know any of that. And everything in this visit is going so fast. So I walk in with a problem, I walk out with the same problem, and I don't have a good understanding of how I'm going to solve my problem. And because I don't have a good understanding of how I'm going to solve my problem, I'm not sure that the optometrist had a good understanding of how to solve my problem. And what I did is I ended up going to Amazon. I bought a dozen of these things, and I wear these when I have to, and I don't wear them when I don't have to. That's what happened. But I still have my problem, and my vision is continuously getting worse. So I scheduled another visit with a different optometrist, and that experience was completely different. I felt like they took their time. I felt like they gave me an opportunity to ask questions. I felt like they didn't use all these words that I didn't have an understanding of, and they talked to me as a human being. And I walked out of that visit with having the same problem, but now I had some real solutions of how I'm going to fix that problem. And my feeling around that visit and that optometrist and that business is completely different. And so when people are talking to me about these new glasses that I'm wearing, and these are still the readers, by the way, when people are talking to me now about glasses, I'm talking to them about my different experiences. And the business over here, who left me with a really good feeling and a solution to my problem, they're the ones that I'm going to talk about in a favorable way. So when we're developing our message, we need to stay away from the temptation of using these big words, these acronyms, and sounding smart. We need to sound clear. We need to sound simple and break it down to everyday language. The reason that you have a product or service that people are going to purchase is because they have a problem. They have a problem, there is a cause for that problem, and you need to be the solution, or the product needs to be a solution for that. So when you're creating the content, make sure that you market the problem and then you teach to the cause. So for me, the problem is I can't see. I don't know why I can't see, and I don't know the cause of why I can't see. I'm concerned because there could be some other health issues. So I'm concerned about the cause. And then I'm also concerned about, let's get this problem fixed. Option A didn't work so well. Option B worked really well because of the simplicity and the clarity. But when you're creating your content, market to the problem. Another example in our industry is Social Security confusion. So the problem, Social Security confusion. The cause is there's so many different options when it comes to Social Security, and you only turn on Social Security once, so you've never done it before. A married couple may have up to 81 different options when it comes to turn on Social Security. So there's a lot that goes into it. That creates the confusion. So when we're marketing towards the confusion. But then when we're teaching, and we choose to primarily teach, or a big part of our teachings is through online courses and the TV show. When we're teaching, we're teaching about the 81 different options. And we're teaching about things to consider when you're going into Social Security timeframe, things that you might want to consider when it comes time to, do you elect early, do you elect late, the implications of marketing the problem, teaching to the cause, and then offer the solution. And when you offer a solution, it needs to be simple. And it needs to, they need to be able to engage, because our attention span is diminishing, I feel like, every single year. So it has to be simple, has to be easy to get to. We just offer a 15-minute checkup. You might offer, if you're marketing online, you might just have a link that takes them to a landing page of whatever product that it is that you are selling. Or if you're offering a service, just an easy entry point. In our industry, sometimes it's very intimidating to go talk to a financial advisor. So it's a big ask for an advertisement online or even through TV for somebody to come into our office to visit with us after seeing a 30-minute TV show or an online ad. So we take that out of it. We take that anxiety. We take the uncertainty out of what that could look like by physically coming in the office. We say, just have a 15-minute checkup call. Just talk to somebody for 15 minutes. We're going to address your specific concerns, problems, and we're going to offer you as much content, as much information around the cause. And maybe we are the solution, maybe we're not, that's okay. But we have to market towards the problem, teach towards the cause, and then present to ourselves as the solution, and then have an easy method of engagement. Now, the different platforms that you use are plentiful, and we have tried them all. Whether it's YouTube, it's OTT, it's the 30-minute TV program, 2-minute TV commercials, 30-second, 15-second bookends, digital, email marketing. We've done it all, and we're currently doing a lot of them. So the platform that you use is going to be dependent upon a lot of different factors, but I would always take you back to your client avatar. Who is your client avatar? You know, for us, it's Jill Smith. She's 57. Jill Smith is probably not spending a ton of time on TikTok. If your client avatar is 20 to 30, TikTok may be a really reliable platform for you. So refer back to your client avatar, their tendencies, their psychographics, their demographics, and that's going to lead you to the particular platform. Also, your budget. Right now, a primary marketing source, as I mentioned, is the 30-minute TV program. We're on every Sunday morning at 10:30 on WOI, as well as the KCCI and WHO from time to time. That costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money in production. It costs a lot of money for TV time. So that's not where we started. We actually started doing educational workshops in person. And then as the business grew, as our cash flow grew, then we could look at some different platforms. So the budget, the spend is going to determine what kind of platform you're looking for as well. But I would revert back to that client avatar. This is just a shot of the TV show. We get a lot of questions around TV because it is an interesting medium. I would say philosophically, when it comes to determining a platform, you have to know your competition. You have to know what your competition is doing inside and out. And my philosophy when it comes to choosing the platform is I'm going to take a look at what my competition is doing, and I'm going to do some of that, but then I'm going to do something completely different. So in 2015, when we decided to do the TV show, we did look at our competition, and almost everybody was doing word of mouth. They were doing direct mail, and about 5 of them, and keep in mind, there's hundreds of advisors right here in Des Moines. About 5 of them were doing radio on the weekend. So we did some radio, we did some direct mail, but what nobody was doing was TV. Nobody in this market, they were doing it nationally. If we go to some of the bigger markets, you're going to see a 30-minute TV show from advisors, but locally they weren't doing it. So I said, the heart of what it is that we do to solve problems is we teach towards the cause of the problems. So education is at the heart of what we do. What a better way to get on TV for 30 minutes and educate about the nuances of retirement planning, because nobody else in our market's doing it. We're educating. People are going to watch a 30-minute show, and it's really, we're not actors, so it's really hard to fake us on a 30-minute TV program. So they're going to get to know us. And through that 30 minutes, they're going to get to know us. Do they like us? Do they not like us? If they like us, they're going to take a next step where they're going to learn. If they don't like us, that's okay. They're not going to take the next step, but at least maybe they learn something along the way. So the philosophy, the 30-minute TV show may not be right for you. It's not right for many people, but the philosophy is right, which is understand what your competition is doing. Understand what your competition is doing. Do some of that makes sense, and then be creative and figure out a way to stand out. Again, hundreds of advisors in Des Moines. How do we stand out among the hundreds of advisors? We're not knocking on people's doors. When I moved to Johnston in 2004, I got a knock on the door probably a month later. And it was from a financial advisor just introducing himself to me because he knew I moved in the neighborhood. Right? That's what people do in our industry. That's what I didn't want to do. I wanted to stand out. TV is a good way to do that. How can you stand out in your industry? Going back to marketing towards the problem and teaching towards the cause. If the problem in your industry, maybe you're a mechanic, an auto service industry, and the problem is trust, where because your client avatar maybe felt like they were taken advantage of in prior experiences at different auto service places. You would market towards that trust, acknowledging that you understand where they're coming from, but then you would teach towards how you go about building trust with the clients or customers that you work with. And maybe that's prior to fixing anything, you take pictures of their vehicle. They have a weathered belt, and you take a picture of that weathered belt and you send it to them. And then you say, call me when you have a minute, we'll talk about it before we do any repairs. Right. So they see that weathered belt, it's on their vehicle. They know you're not making it up. They feel comfortable. You're building that trust. And then you have a conversation with them on the phone about the importance of changing this weathered belt, or the unimportance of it, if that's the case. And then they make their decision. That can build trust. Right. So whatever that problem is in your industry, market to the problem, teach to the cause, and then present a way that you can be that solution. So TV has been really effective for us. But again, it's not right for everybody, but the philosophy is stand out. There's in every single industry, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of noise. You have to understand what your competition is doing and then do something a little bit different. One of the biggest sources of business for us is existing clients. And I think with most companies, especially small businesses, existing clients is one of the biggest opportunities and probably one of the most overlooked. And even big business, existing clients is one of the most overlooked sources of recurring revenue or sales. If you're offering a product and you have an existing clients who already bought that product, there is a lifespan on that product. Depending upon that product, it might be very short, it might be very long, but chances are they bought it. And if you have a good product, they really like it, it fulfilled a need. And when that lifespan is up, they're going to come back. Or they like it so much, they're going to talk to their friends about that product. Same thing with service. If you have a service, fulfilled a need, they liked it, it really did well for them, they're going to talk to their friends and they're going to continuously come back for that service. So we cannot ignore our existing clients. In our particular business, it costs us a lot for each new client that we bring on. So when we bring on a new client, we love them and we love them and we love them, and we show them how much we continuously love them. In your industry, with whatever it is you do, product or service, part of the sale is them wanting what it is you sell. And the other part of the sale is the timing being right for them. So not only do they have to want what it is you're selling, but then the timing has to be right. So even if you invest, you have your perfect client avatar, you have the perfect message, you choose the perfect platform or platforms, and it resonates really well with your client avatar, but the time is not right. And then you go away, and when the timing is right, you're not top of mind, somebody else is top of mind. That's a missed opportunity. So the existing clients, loving on your existing clients, staying top of mind is one way that you can have an army of individuals, an army of people marketing on your behalf. But with your content, your messaging, it has to be persistent. When we started, just as an example, when we started TV, it cost us a lot. 6 months. It took us 6 months before we saw any type of ROI at all. We thought we had a pretty good product. We thought our messaging was pretty in line. We thought it was targeting the right audience, but we didn't see anything. It was crickets. So it wasn't necessarily that the show was bad or the messaging was bad. It's just the timing wasn't right. And it takes people a lot of, from a frequency standpoint, it takes people anywhere between 3 to 13 plus different exposures before they're willing to commit, again, depending upon the product or service you offer. That can be decreased if that is coming word of mouth from your existing clients. Just another reason that the existing client is so important. And the consistency, as I mentioned, the consistency has to be there. They have to be there when they're ready for you. You can't control when they're ready for you. So most of your marketing, most of your messaging, it cannot be a 1, 2, 3, you're done. It has to be consistent. So when you're choosing the platform, after you have your client avatar, after you have built a perfect message, you have to be able to choose the platform that's going to allow you to be present when your prospect, when your ideal avatar is ready. So if you invest a ton of money and you invest all of your marketing budget on one particular campaign, that campaign lasts a week or a month, and then you're done, that's probably not going to work. And you're going to become very frustrated, and you're going to spend a lot of money without a lot of results, and certainly not a big ROI. So whatever strategy you choose, make sure that you can be consistent with that. And again, for us, if we were 3, 4, 5 months into it and we said, this isn't working for whatever reason, we would have completely given up on one of our best platforms, which again, for us is TV. Measuring results is something that's overlooked most of the time. And we are extremely detailed on measuring results. So the common platforms we're using right now, we're using TV, we're using digital, we're using word of mouth, existing clients, and then YouTube, just to name a few. And there's more, but with each one of the platforms, to the degree that we can, because there is a lot of overlap, but to the degree that we can, the prospects that come to see us, we know where they're coming from. Are they coming from YouTube? Are they coming from TV? Are they coming from an existing client? Where are they coming from? And then we can measure ROI for each one of those platforms. So over the course of the year, we are monitoring where our clients are coming from. We're monitoring the ROI from each one of those platforms. We're also monitoring how effective is the messaging around each one of those platforms, because we can constantly be tweaking that as well. And then what we know is we're confident that this messaging with this platform is working, or we're confident that this messaging from this platform is not working, and we can make adjustments before we invest too much money into something that's not really all that effective. But none of that is possible if you don't measure the results. And this, how you measure the results can be as simple as a spreadsheet. It can be as simple as a spreadsheet. We use a spreadsheet as a part of our results measuring. It's a very complex spreadsheet, but it doesn't matter. It's a spreadsheet. But we know where people are coming from. We know where our phone calls are coming from. And then we can make decisions and tweaks around our messaging. But one thing that stays consistent is who our client avatar is. And then everything else can evolve as things change around us. And if you have a good understanding of who your client avatar is, who your ideal individual is, you can then structure your message towards that client avatar. And then you can be much more effective on choosing between the platform that you're going to use, and also have a really good understanding of what your competition is doing. That's going to help you out with that platform selection as well. And then you have to be consistent with it. You can't give up. And that goes into your selection process as well, because it has to be affordable, and it has to be affordable for a consistent amount of time. Otherwise, you're making decisions and hoping that it works out, as opposed to making decisions knowing or having a high probability that it's going to work out, and then you can dominate your market. What kind of questions do you have?
Feel free to throw your questions in the chat or shout them out, whichever is best for you. I can get us started though, Lauren. You were talking about the client avatar. Some businesses have been in business a long time, and some are family-owned businesses. How does that client avatar change, if at all, with the transition of ownership or throughout the longevity of a company?
Yeah, with the change in ownership, that's really interesting. And there's a lot of different ways that ownership can change. Maybe it's from inside. And if change of ownership is happening from the inside, then that avatar, the likeliness that that avatar is going to stay the same or similar, is the probability is a lot higher, and there's probably going to be a lot less disruption. If the change of ownership is from the outside, now this is where you see that disruption on a much bigger scale, because you got new ownership, you got a new thought process, you got a whole lot of new variables that are coming into the picture, and the odds of that avatar changing is going to be significantly higher. But ultimately, that's going to be up to that ownership. And even if ownership stays consistent over a couple of decades or a period of time, every industry, every small business has a different lifespan based on the product or service, but that avatar can change even with consistency in the people in charge too, as the world evolves and the product evolves or the service evolves as well. But I think the most important part is having a consistent understanding, and especially if you're working in a team, making sure everybody understands who that avatar is, so you're all working towards the message, designing that message and disseminating it on the appropriate platform. But even if you're a sole proprietor and it's just you, clarity, you can never go wrong with clarity.
Great, thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Hi, I'm Mary from the Pace Alliance here in Pella. So going through this, how do you benchmark the success? How does your marketing team go through and really benchmark that? Is it just the number of clients, or what does that look like? Are we looking for engagement, or what does it look like?
Yeah, the benchmarking for us at least has changed over the years, but initially our benchmarking is we're spending X on this particular message through this particular platform. What is the response rate? And then are we making a return on our investment? And if so, how much? We set metrics around what that return on investment should be per particular platform. So whether it's 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, whatever that is, but that is probably our most basic benchmark. But this goes back to measuring. If you're not measuring where people are coming from or where your sales are coming from, and the messaging that the sales are coming from, then it's very hard to apply a benchmark to any of that. So the benchmarking, you set the appropriate benchmark for whatever it is, product or service that you're doing based on the message and the platform. And then you have to measure that. And the benchmarking could change over the years. Now we have a really good insight as far as what the benchmarks are nationally for our platform, through the different platforms that we have, and we compare nationally to see how we're doing. But early on, and still even to this day, most of that is internal. How much are we spending with this? How much are we returning on that investment? And is that hitting our objective or not?
Thank you.
That was a great question, Mary. I have a question in the chat. It says, besides platforms to market to, did you find specific groups that the avatars are in? And if so, how did you get in front of them?
We created our own groups is what we did. And it's, our marketing strategy is a little bit unique as well. It's way unique if we're comparing our industry, but we created opportunities for like-minded, like-situated people to gather to learn from us about retirement planning. One of the hardest things about what it is that we do is what is retirement planning. Most people have an idea that it's of what retirement planning is, but the idea is very simple from a standpoint. Most people think it's investments. So if we got 100 people on here and I say, what's your idea of retirement planning? Most of you are probably going to say, well, it's my 401k plan, it's my IRA. Where in reality, once you get closer to retirement, you realize you need to take an income from this. Where's the income going to come from? You have to pay taxes on that income. How do you mitigate taxes? What do you do with Social Security, Medicare? There's a whole lot more that goes into retirement planning. So we have to educate people on what retirement planning actually is. And with your product or your service, there's probably a form of education that's involved with that as well. So what we found is it was much easier for us to bring that like-minded, like-situated group of people together in whatever location we deemed was appropriate for that, whether it was a university or as our building or it was a restaurant or whatever that was. And then we could teach about our topics and our services with that group of people. Because our niche is so small, where we're not working with 20 and 30-year-olds, we're not trying to work with everybody. Because our niche is so small, we found that some of these marketing groups or even chamber meetings, it was very few people in those groups that actually fit our target avatar. And so from our standpoint, we had to find a way to get these people to come together where we had a lot more opportunity to talk to more people within the same amount of time.
Awesome.
And I think with along those lines with technology today, TV is not for everybody. It's not for many people, but YouTube, what an incredible opportunity that really anybody has to educate through a YouTube platform. It doesn't cost you anything. You can create a 3-minute, a 10-minute video and do that consistently on each one of the individual topics or pieces of the product that you want to talk about, and create your own channel. And you don't have to be very sophisticated. You don't have to be very polished. You just have to get started. And that is a way that you can have people who are looking for whatever it is that you sell, product or service, aggregate towards you is through YouTube in a very cost-effective way.
That was a great answer.
And I think from really most industries, YouTube is at the very, very ground floor of being effective, which means there's still a lot of opportunity for people who are looking to disseminate a message in a very cost-effective way through YouTube.
I know we certainly love YouTube because this will be available on YouTube in a week or so. I have another question about consistency and targeting your target audience with messages. You said that a target audience needs to see a message 3 to 13 times. Does that number of messages change after you become top of mind and you've secured that audience into your marketing funnel?
Yeah, it certainly can, but it does work together, because if they're already familiar with you, they've seen you a handful of times, probably at a minimum. And they do feel more familiar with you because they've had that exposure to you. It's just now something has happened in their life that now they are ready for the product or service that you offer. And it's that last time that you were in front of them that actually instigated that purchase. If it's a product and they've seen you around, they hear you on the radio, or they've have friends who have used your product before, but now something is triggered in their life. Now it's time, but they're not going to probably remember you unless you are top of mind through one of the different platforms that you choose. If it's a particular product, maybe they have to see you 2 or 3 times. Maybe for professional services, maybe it's 10 to 13 times. It does vary based on the service or product that you offer.
So, does anybody have any other questions? We still have a couple of minutes if you do. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. There is a link in the chat. If you would take a quick minute to let us know what you thought of today. And then our next top 5 for small business will be June 28th. And we will be having a panel discussion on talent retention, attraction, and some workplace culture. Thank you so much for being here today, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.